Hi everybody, I'm Dave. I'm here to talk about the Cosmo Natal report today. Basically, we've got a whole bunch of different reports that we're going to provide in the community, and I wanted to cover each one of the reports in time, but today I'm simply going to focus on that one. So here, what I want to do is I'm on the website. I'm going to go to Purchase. Purchase is going to show me what our one-year subscription is going to contain. I'm going to click here on the View Sample Reports. View Sample Reports is our natal sample. So what I did is I created a fictitious character called Joe Doe. He was born at 4:56 a.m. June 8th, 1978. Basically, I went and ran reports for this particular fictitious character. And one of the reports that I want to look at, of course, is the Cosmo Natal. So when we go look at the Cosmo Natal, I want to go over a little bit of what's in this report. But what's also interesting with this report is that we wanted to also look at the natal wheel. Since this is a natal chart, we're going to look at the natal wheel to go with that. So I'm going to bring that up, and I'm going to bring up the other in new tabs. So now I have two tabs for these. I'm going to be able to zoom in a little bit so you'll be able to see it better. Same with this one. And when we look at these reports, what we want to see in the reports is we want to see some critical information. The information that you generally want to see in a overview natal, which is like what the Cosmo does, is you want to see key attributes with regards to your rising sign. You want to see the sun attributes. You want to see the moon attributes, and then anything else that might really stand out. So we want to go look for that. So I've got the information right here on the screen. The fundamental concepts you always want to look at, the first things that you'll generally look at with somebody is the sun, the moon, the ascendant, and then things that might be accentuated in the ascendant. So we're going to go look for that in the natal chart. So I'll get rid of this, and we're at the natal. So with Joe, what we want to be able to do is with his birth wheel, we're going to look at this. Scroll it up a little bit because most planets are on the bottom. We have Taurus on the ascendant here at 25 degrees, 14 minutes. This here is going to be a key aspect of Joe's life. So when we look at the Cosmo Natal report, we have all the degrees in the report, but we'll scroll down to chapter 1, how you approach life and how you appear to others. This particular section is about Taurus rising. So when I've looked over all these different reports that for the Cosmo and how they present that first chapter to everybody, it's a really nice description of your rising sign and the characteristics associated with that. And what they would do with this is not only for Joe here has he got nearly a page of information, but he'll also have if there are aspects associated with the ascendant. So if you look at the wheel, as it turns out here, he's got two squares. He's got Mars and he's got Saturn square as ascendant. When we look at the Cosmo Natal, though, the Cosmo Natal didn't really see those. It would normally put up the conjunctions or the oppositions that would happen in the chart would show up in the same section right here. In Joe's case, he doesn't have it. They're simply going to go over the characteristics of Taurus rising. So good. We've got the house, the ascendant associated with this, the Cosmo chart, the inner you, the real motivation. So the inner you, the real motivation in this particular, for this title for them, they cover the sun. A lot of places would see it as, what do other people see about you? What is your overwhelming, what's the power associated with what you do? And so here, they basically are going to cover sun in Gemini. So we can see on the top, sun in Gemini. So here what's happened is we come right over to where sun is in Gemini, and we've got some attribute associated with that. And so let's go look at the sun. You are, in many ways, an eternal child. And it goes on to describe sun in Gemini. And again, quite a bit of information. And then not only do we want to know where the planet is, what sign it's in, but we also want to know the house. And so here, as we can see in the chart, the sun is in the first house. And so the Cosmo chart sees that the sun's in the first chart. It's going to tell us about that. And then we want to go farther with it, which is what are the key signs that they want to talk about? So sun opposition Neptune, sun opposition Neptune. Here we are in the chart. And Sun trian Pluto. So Sun trian Pluto is going to be over here. So we have this nice green connection right here, and the red connection over here. And when we look at the chart's going to tell us a little bit about each one of those. That's good. So basically, we've got a bunch of information in a very gentle way about the sun and where the sun is, the house that the sun is in. I'm going to come down to the third aspect. So the third aspect, we're going to look at, a lot of people will look at the moon. What's going on with the moon? The Cosmo is going to take this a little bit differently. The Cosmo is going to align the planets, okay? And it's going to throw the moon in with Venus. And so here, this next section is, the Cosmo chart's going to look at, well, it's looking at it's looking at the inner planets as the main parts that it really wants to show. So Mercury, where are mental interests and abilities? Mercury is in Gemini. And so we look here, we want to be able to find Mercury. Mercury's in the first house. And of course, if we look a little bit farther, it would tell us Mercury's in the first house. And it's going to cover the fact that Mercury is in Gemini and Mercury's in the first house. But then because there can be attributes associated with this, we're going to go see that the Mercury is trian Pluto. And they'll basically pick up on that trian Pluto right here. The fourth chapter. Now, what a lot of people look at is they look at the sun and the moon. Now we look at the moon. So what we've got with the moon here, the moon is in Cancer. We come around here, we're going to see moon is in Cancer, and the moon's in the third house. So now it's going to cover just a little bit. Moon's in the third house. And then what happens is we're going to go farther with that, and we see that there's a couple of attributes. Moon conjunct Venus, conjunct Jupiter, it's square Pluto's trian Uranus. So in those conjunctions, here's the two conjunctions. So we've got the square, we got the moon conjunct Venus and Jupiter, which happens to be those Venus and Jupiters. And they're going to tell you, we've got a paragraph in each one. If we go a little bit farther with this, then because we've dealt with Mercury, now we're dealing with Venus, and Venus is in this house or chapter in this report of emotions, feelings, romance. So Venus is quite often associated with romance. So here we are, Venus is in Cancer, and Venus is in the third house. So I'm going to go look for that. We find Venus is in Cancer, third house. I'm going to talk briefly about that. Come back to the report, and then we have a fifth house. So the fifth house is your drive and ambition. How you achieve your goals. So this is going to bring in energy, and the energy is our next planet. It's going to be Mars. Mars is in Leo. It's in the fourth house. So for this fictitious character, here's our Mars. It's in the fourth house. We've got a square to the rising sign that it didn't cover, but we're going to go into basically that is conjunct Saturn. So here they're looking at it and saying, well, really the stronger sign is going to be that Mars not only is in Leo and in the fourth house, but it's conjunct Saturn, as we can see that here, just within just a few minutes of the degrees. And then the other influences. So then what happens is, so generally with the major influences, we're looking for the sun, we're looking for the moon, we're looking for the ascending sign, and we've covered those in this report very briefly. Then we generally want to go on and say, well, what are other things that are highly important in this chart? Well, rather than going on to looking at the ascendant ruler, looking at those little details, it basically saying, okay, other influences, we've gone through the first three planets. Let's just look at the others. Excuse me. So with the others, we're going to look at Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter's in the second house. And so basically it's coming around to what does this mean right here? And then Jupiter square Pluto. It's going to talk about Jupiter a little bit. And then we're going to move out a little bit farther. Now we're talking about Saturn. Saturn's in Leo. Saturn's in the fourth house. It's going to go a step farther. Now we have Uranus. What does Uranus in the sign mean? What does Uranus in the house mean? Again, we'll go to Neptune. Neptune, what is it in the sign? What is it in the house? And then we actually have an attribute here that is going to bring up, which is sextile Pluto. And then we go to Pluto. Pluto's in Libra, and Pluto's in the fifth house. And so the Cosmo report generally is going to look at each house, and it is going to give us attributes of the first three planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, with a little bit more of the configurations. And then it's simply going to talk about the basic concepts of the mid planets and the outer planets. So when we look at the Cosmo report, this example report, this is one of the reports that we put in the collection. It's a very simple report. It is, the coolest part about this is for somebody that doesn't know anything about astrology, or even if you do know something about astrology, it's going to give you the basic concepts. It gives you the major configuration to look at right off the bat. It's a very quick read. And if you are going to join into our community, this is going to be one of the first reports that you get right off the bat. Here, the community, if you're interested in the community, feel free to add your email to our email address. This particular email address that I've got on the screen here, this one is the report. So basically I'm gathering up information. I'm gathering up people that are interested in the reports as I cover these reports so that you'll get to see the full package of reports. So in time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in a little bit farther with, let's see here, I'm going to get back to the sample reports page. I'm going to view the sample reports, and I'm going to talk about all these different reports. Natal reports just happen to be one of them. Anyway, thanks for visiting. Thanks for listening. Feel free to join the community. Feel free to subscribe on YouTube. Look forward to hearing from you.